Do you think political parties should really be funded by the state, away from the whole idea of you can't be funded by foreigners?
If you say these parties do not get funding, they would collapse. They run a lot of activities, a lot, that need this money. And if you cut off funding here, the best alternative would be the fundraising NUP is driving.
I get you, because NUP gets 1.4 billion every quarter. Those are 3 months.
Yes.
Which that essentially means every month they are spending, that's about like 600 million.
It is even
what is NUP spending 600? Let's say, okay, let me leave NUP. NRM, right? I think for it must be getting like upwards of 5 billion every quarter. What is a political party using 5 billion for? Every quarter. That's 3 months, 2 billion per month.
You see, when you talk about serious things and you bring in NRM, that is a party that you know it is corrupt in nature. You can't ask NRM for accountability.
This is the Policy Digest, a Center for Policy Analysis podcast that explores how African societies are governed and how people and their leaders are shaping the future of their communities. Through candid conversations and insightful analysis, we aim to provide a deeper understanding of the political, economic, and social landscape of Africa. So sit back, relax, and get ready to explore the diverse and dynamic world of African governance.
Hello, my name is Joseph, and I know you've heard that for over 40 times, and now we are coming to the 44th episode of the Policy Digest podcast. Since August last year, you've loved us, you've been with us. It's quite an honor, to be frank, and we hope that you've loved this journey as we toward the journey of leaders that are shaping the future of their communities. Now, as leaders are being reshaped by leaders and ideas, people start to organize around political parties. You know from the history of political parties is that the first political party was called the Green Party. And this party was created to promote issues around the environment. But later on, people realized, look, we could organize around interests. Those became Christian. For example, when you go to Germany, there's a Christian Democratic Party. For example, during World War I, at the height of the socialism and communist time, there are so many parties that were even labeled communist. Even up to now, there are certain parties that are called communist. There are so many parties, for example, in Uganda, who are called the Democratic Party. The idea there is that political parties are normally centered around interests. For example, the National Resistance Movement, which organization, which is a political party to promote the interests of the National Resistance Army that went to the bush in 1980, the National Unity Platform, which is the political wing of the People Power Movement. The idea is it comes down to the question of interests. Now, one thing that is very, very, very clear about African politics is that leaders always blame people who are from outside for anything the opposition stands for. They always say, look, those are funded by foreigners. And when that debate became very clear, if you follow the politics of Uganda, people like the Noble Mayombo, the late General, not General, Noble Mayombo, he was quite clear that for the independence of any political family, there needs to be independence of the politics of that specific country. And that led to reforms around ensuring that political parties are funded by the state to ensure they are not funded by what they term as foreign agents or neo-colonialists in that very specific regard. So this specific podcast is going to focus on the funding landscape for political parties and how it is evolving in Uganda. And in order for us to do that, we're joined by Denis Yub, who is the leader of ThinkSpace Uganda, a well-known activist whose heartbeat beats for the last mile person everywhere and anywhere within Uganda whose rights are being abused. But he's also quite a political analyst, and he'll be bringing his cutthroat analysis to this issue. Denis, you're most welcome to the Policy Digest podcast.
Thank you, Mr. Joseph.
You're most welcome.
You've given the introduction already. I don't think I need to.
You don't need to add to that. Maybe you could just tell us about ThinkSpace, such that people get the context of where you're coming from.
I'm Denis Yub. I keep seeing your team writing it as Ayub. I'm Yub.
Yub.
Why Yub?
Why you be?
Yes.
Why you be?
So
All right.
I'm the founder of ThinkSpace, Justice and Freedom. And it, as the name is, it is a ThinkSpace. It is a platform where we, the young people, come together, different political affiliations, and brainstorm and look at matters that are happening in the country. Think about the past, current, and tomorrow. And we normally come up with the ideas of what should be done. I think that's all about ThinkSpace. I don't want to take time on myself.
No worries, but I think that's very important because people would love to know where you're coming from. It speaks to philosophy, it speaks to where you would be coming from. So are there any project ThinkSpace has worked on?
Yes.
Probably also coming up that maybe for them to appreciate the bigger picture beyond it being a body of thought leaders.
Yes. ThinkSpace, we are majorly, we have looked out for people who are facing state suppression. Several of them, if you recall, there was one boy who was beaten by police during the march to parliament. I moved around with him in Butabika for some good months. Of course, in support of Agora. Currently,
Beaten up to when they ran mad.
Yes, he was actually he was first beaten by the president's convoy. Then later on, he was beaten again during march to parliament. He wasn't part of it. He was actually a border rider. Then the most recent one is we have Mr. Ellison. He's a student of Makerere University. He was doing an internship in Hoima. Got abducted from there last month on the 28th. And the entire institution was silent about it until Makerere University. Until this month, last two weeks ago, I was contacted by one of his colleagues and told me what has been happening. I took the initiative to begin following up. We started making social media posts. Then it started trending, and immediately security called his parents, his muzee in Hoima, and told him to remain silent. His son is in one of the military barracks in Kampala. I talked to the father that very day, and he tells me they have told him his son is trending on social media. He's not a social media person. I contacted people in the school, including the guild president.
And they knew nothing?
He told me one thing, that I have no information about that
and
person.
Could not still account for the missing student.
He couldn't. So I took time and went to his hostel where he was sleeping. I met his friends. It is in Chikoni, the place. And they told me, to them, it felt as though it was the administration of the university that did that. Though they told them it was about his social media platform.
Activity. Okay,
Yes.
I get you. So you do follow up on people whose rights have been abused.
Yes.
And anything else in general?
In general, we are a social justice platform.
Okay, good.
Yes.
I think then we can get right into it. So normally, for example, Professor Sylvia Tamari, when they're writing their feminist papers, they normally say, I'm going to come from a feminist angle. Or let's say Professor Kabumba Makerere, it'll be like, I will be arguing from a constitutional law perspective. So before we dive into the topic, what's your bias like? What angle will you be taking on the topic?
The topic of political...
Funding of political parties, yes.
We shall do the constitutional part.
You will take the constitutional position?
Yes, we shall do the constitutional part. And then we shall also do the general humanity part.
Human rights approach, yes, and constitution part. So let's get right into it. So the state says that certain actors are being funded by foreigners to change the political will of Ugandans. And as such, they have created legislation recently, the Political Parties Amendment Bill, that has restricted funding to a leading political party in Uganda that has 57 members of parliament. That is the National Unity Platform. And National Unity Platform has then created a drive of 10 billion to ensure they can fundraise for the election. What are your general thoughts on the state's move to create legislation that limits funding to a leading opposition political party?
Mr. Joseph, I think we need to give a clear picture of what is actually happening. If you talk about foreign funding, our government is one of the governments in Africa that is largely foreign funded. But aside from that, when you come to political funding history in Uganda, you find that when we got back to multiparty system, we didn't have a correct funding mechanism. People got funding from their supporters.
2005?
Yes.
Okay.
Up to 2010. Supporters funded, members of the parties contributed, even foreigners. Our parties got money from foreigners, including the NRM. Only that.
Including the NRM?
Yes. Government was so critical about it, which is legitimate. It is a legitimate concern. If foreigners are putting money in parties within your country, you get worried as the government in charge. So that is why in 2010, they came up with an amendment of the Political Parties and Organizations Act of 2005. Now, in that act, they wanted to get more streamlined like the rest of other countries. That number one, the state should fund political parties in Uganda. But majorly political parties that are having members in parliament.
All right.
Which is also legitimate because by the time a political party has members in parliament, it means it has the mandate of Ugandans.
Of 1 or 2 Ugandans?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, by the time you have mandate to represent thousands of Ugandans in parliament, it is right that you can have access to their taxes through the public funding of those political parties.
I get that social contract analysis, yes.
That amendment was one, to allocate public funds to political parties. Two, to introduce or make formal a body that will regulate that funding. That is the National Consultative Forum.
All right.
That is 2010. So all political parties that were in Uganda having members in parliament were funded from 2010.
Since 2010?
Yes, using our taxes.
Money.
Using our taxes.
Not money from the government, money from the taxpayers.
Money from the taxpayers. And it was legal. It was a legitimate thing when you look at it from a bigger angle. Then the National Consultative Forum was given powers to be the consultative body that can direct that. That Electoral Commission was given the power to distribute this money.
Okay.
So this money is distributed by Electoral Commission, but in consultation with the National Consultative Forum. In fact, it must consult. That is according to the law. And the National Consultative Forum doesn't distribute this money. It's
advisory.
Yes.
It's just advisors, yes.
Now, the beauty of the National Consultative Forum is that every political party in Uganda has a member there, whether you are in parliament or not. You have a single member there. You designate a single member there, including the NRM. In fact, the NRM president is the chairperson
of the NCF. Yes.
Then the leading opposition party, currently NUP, is having a member there.
Could you give us some clarity? So I know this current law institutes something called IPOD as now a function of a relation between the National Consultative Forum and IPOD. And I am told because NUP was not participating in IPOD, but rather the National Consultative Forum, it is no longer party to the amount of money that was being shared among political parties.
That is where the problem comes in. Because that amendment they just did is unconstitutional. That is number one. Because the national...
What do you mean by it is unconstitutional?
It is unconstitutional because the IPOD itself is not a statutory body. It wasn't formed by any act of parliament. The IPOD was actually formed in also 2010 by parties that had members in parliament. They gathered in a hotel room and said, look guys, we can actually sort our problems outside parliament in case we have disagreement. So let us form an association of ourselves. So these parties
that is not constitutional.
It wasn't formed in parliament. It is like you, me, the other people coming up and say, can we have a group where we can meet regularly? Let
me see. Let's. I know people appreciate football, right?
Yes.
So if it was like the Premier League, I know there's a forum where every football legal forum, where every football club is supposed to come, right? So that's like the National Consultative Forum.
That's the National Consultative Forum.
So in 2010, the clubs say, let's just have our own informal platform where we can resolve our own issues. Why do they choose to create another forum that is not the National Consultative Forum?
They were targeting foreign funding.
Oh, it was a strategic move.
It was a strategic move. So all the 5 parties that were in parliament by then came together and signed a memorandum of understanding. It was formed by a memorandum of understanding, not in parliament. So when they formed the IPOD outside parliament, the Netherlands Institute of Multiparty Democracy,
NIMD, yes,
said it is a good move because it was actually their idea. So what they did was to fund IPOD itself, to fund the activities of IPOD. And IPOD's activities were to facilitate cooperation within political parties,
yes,
dialogue, solve conflict, which was the exact thing National Consultative Forum was formed for. And it was doing it legally because it is a platform for all political parties, for dialogue, solving conflicts, and all that. Only that this was outside. So Netherlands...
It was an informal mechanism, but still informal mechanisms have their...
So Netherlands
strength,
started funding IPOD itself, then funding political parties that subscribe to IPOD. IPOD itself is not a funding body.
I get you.
Yes.
It was a forum for resource mobilization to strengthen political parties.
It actually doesn't mobilize for resources. It doesn't discuss how to mobilize for resources, only that its main functions are those, facilitate dialogue and all that. So what Netherlands Institute of Multiparty Democracy did was to fund its office activities, which are those, then to fund political parties that subscribe to it directly, not through IPOD.
Oh, I get you.
Not
through IPOD.
Not through IPOD.
Funding directly for those who are in IPOD.
Yes.
So
that's why
IPOD gets to a point and starts to get serious problems.
Yes. Now the serious problem comes in a way that they discussed a lot of issues.
Oh, yeah.
Secondly, leading opposition member or party by then was FDC.
FDC, yes.
Its members were harassed, not allowed to do other activities politically. So, and they discussed
what harassment?
That rallies, the same things that are happening to NUP right now.
That's when they implemented the public order management bill.
Exactly. So what happens is that when they discussed all these issues in IPOD, they have informal. The NRM, which had the ruling government by then, wasn't having the political will to implement this. Whatever they discussed.
It was against their political interest, yes.
Yes. So FDC in 2018 boycotts all IPOD activities. But remember, it is a founding member with the Memorandum of Understanding. So it says, I will not participate in any of your activities unless the issues we discussed before are sorted.
Are dealt with, yes.
Unless government stop repression of opposition.
Yes.
Unless we have equal grounds. So when FDC went aside, number one, Netherlands Institute of Multiparty Democracy continued funding FDC because the money that was coming to FDC wasn't through IPOD. It wasn't. It
was going directly to FDC itself.
And the only the qualification for it was, are you a registered party? Do you have members in parliament?
Do you have activities?
Then do you have that memorandum of understanding with other IPOD parties? So it continued to receive
resources, yeah.
So here, government comes and begins blackmailing FDC that you're receiving IPOD money, but you're not participating in IPOD.
It was not IPOD money. It was NIMD money.
IPOD money. Ignoring all concerns that FDC raised.
Yeah.
I think you get the point.
I'm trying to follow. Maybe if we are to narrow this down. So what after FDC... And after Besigye chooses not to participate in elections and them to feel like that path is not going through, NUP takes on another turn. So let's just close that specific logical gap. So after FDC realizes that maybe elections are not their kind of thing, Dr. Besigye chooses not to participate in elections and chooses other means of creating what he terms as a citizen-led non-violent revolution. Then National Unity Platform takes over as the leading political party. They continue.
Yes, NUP never joined.
They continue and say we will not join.
They never joined from the start. Because they came 2020, 2021, they refused to join. In fact, they called it a platform that sanitizes dictatorship. And in fact, they
rejected
said,
it outrightly.
Unless the ruling government does what the FDC had asked,
they will not join.
They will not join. So note that they don't have any memorandum of understanding with IPOD. So they never received a single coin from
IPOD.
Netherlands Institute of Multiparty Democracy.
And I think by that time, I think NIMD had closed shop. They were no longer funding.
They closed in 2022. But now the funny thing is, when government realized that these people were withdrawing their fund in 2021,
yes,
what they did was to incorporate IPOD into a legal entity, register it as an NGO. I will share with you.
Government did so. So IPOD is an NGO that is registered by government agents now.
Exactly. But the funny thing is, when you check for its registration status, now it has XXX.
Through your SB,
it has XXX. So it was registered because it wasn't registered. It wouldn't receive any funding, any government funding. They anticipated these people would go, but the ruling
wanted
government
to fund that
wanted to fund this and maintain it as a tool of control because they had seen what it could do. What it can do is this:
to sanitize,
yes,
and create an impression of dialogue.
You tell the public these people do not want to come to a dialogue platform,
and brand them as anti-dialogue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He blackmail them to their supporters, and when they come, that is surrendering. But do not forget that we have the National Consultative Forum, which is doing exactly what IPOD is doing outside the law.
A new bill comes and says, look here, you don't participate in the National Consultative Forum, and IPOD, you're not getting money.
Yes.
NUP says, to hell with your money. We are going to look for money elsewhere.
Yes. You see, the problem is, it makes me worried that the public...
Do you think that was a right move for
It
NUP?
wasn't. To fundraise,
yeah,
it is the right move.
Why?
Because once you join the illegality they have set up, you become accomplice. Because it is illegal, that law is going to be struck down. It might not be today, but it will be struck down. Because the problem is this. I want to paint for you this picture. NUP participates in every National Consultative Forum activity and meeting, but it refuses IPOD.
To join IPOD.
Then government says, we need this IPOD. Now, IPOD has been operating. You would wonder how. From 2022, when Netherlands Institute left.
Yes.
The parties that belong to IPOD in 2019 were part of a summit and came up with an agreement that you see the funding that we are getting direct from government, from taxpayers' money, we could actually remove 15% to be funding IPOD activities, such that the institute, the organization doesn't die.
Does not die, yes.
That's how it has been working. Now, the fact is, taxpayers are funding IPOD.
Now they will be funding IPOD.
They have been funding IPOD. Not directly, but as I've told you, party members have been removing part of their money that they receive from taxpayers' money to fund IPOD. When they come on the media, they say IPOD is funding political parties and including NUP. And yet...
to create the impression that NUP is as well...
Exactly.
And I think I did see, I think must have been the exchange between the Honorable Mwanda Nkunyinji on UBC. There's a time they had an exchange with Andrew Mwenda. The narrative from those that push for narrative for government is that NUP is funded by the state itself and they are pushing for its accountability. That has been the narrative in that specific regard, that NUP is not accountable for the billions. They receive about 1.4 per quarter, right?
Yes.
From the NCF and the Electoral Commission, right?
Yes.
I don't know what comments you have about that. What's the political economy of that counter-narrative debate between state actors and national unity platform?
You see, one of the major conditions for you to receive that money through Electoral Commission is that you file returns. And the Electoral Commission is mandated every year to post into the Gazette and one national newspaper every political party that received that money from taxpayers' money. I don't want to call it Museveni's money, from taxpayers' money. It is supposed to post it there, and each and every cent that they received. Then it is not supposed to give these parties that do not file returns.
So these are tax returns.
Yes.
Does the law require them to talk about the expenditure they're making? Let's say, financial statements. you know how a financial statement is.
Yes.
Individual ledgers, balance sheets, technically how much you received, how you spent it.
Exactly.
The way the Auditor General's report is.
Exactly.
Is it that granular?
Now, you have even introduced the Auditor General.
Yeah.
The money these parties received is audited by the Auditor General's office. Now, Electoral Commission, once you see them giving a party money, know that they filed return. So if you argue
Returns
that,
and the Auditor General's report, yes.
if you want to paint a picture that they are not accounting for the money they received, and yet Electoral Commission keeps giving them. In fact, I saw New Vision. There's a year it posted. In fact, it is this year. FDC, is it UPC? They were about 3 parties that have not been giving their accountability to Electoral Commission, not NUP. Now, NUP is a party that you would imagine if it did not do accountability with the Electoral Commission, even the slightest thing, they would stop the funding.
I get your argument. It's so politically risky for them to not be unaccountable. And I want that in the second segment, we kind of do like a contrast, right? Let's say UPC, let's say DP, let's say National Unity Platform, like everyone who's in opposition. Are they better without state money that is in the coffers? Are they better with mobilizing the way, let's say, NUP is mobilizing in order to get off the frames of you are still funded by the very coffers you say are not supposed to be going to building roads or building a healthcare center? Also, secondly, in the second segment, I'd like us to look into the Rusania party and the other parties which are coming up now that a lot of money is on the table. NUP is not taking the money, so I guess someone has to take it, right?
Let's talk about human rights. Human rights are the basic freedoms and protections that belong to every person simply because they are human. These include the right to speak your mind, to meet peacefully with others, to participate in decisions that affect your life, and to live with dignity and fairness. They are not special privileges. They are legal guarantees found in Uganda's 1995 Constitution and international treaties. Human rights matter in everyday life, from being heard in your community to accessing public services to feeling safe online or offline. The Civic Space Initiative is here to help people understand, protect, and use these rights. Through education, training, and dialogue, we are building a stronger, more informed society where people can stand up, speak out, and shape their future. Because when you know your rights, you can claim them. Learn more at www.sepa.or.ug or www.asf.be.
Well, be back. So in the first segment, we looked at IPOD, its history, how we find ourselves in this specific place. But I just want to start off with just a query, Denis. Do you think political parties should really be funded by the state? Away from the whole idea of you can't be funded by foreigners, do you think they should be funded by the state?
Yes, political parties that have members in parliament, it would be fair to fund them.
Why?
Number one,
do they deserve that money?
Yes, because when you have a group of people that have formed a party and that party has been endorsed by a good number of people who are taxpayers, you would really find it fair to get part of the tax from the taxpayers to fund the activities of such a party. Because that's a vote of confidence.
It's a vote of confidence, but not a vote of confidence. Put your fingers in the national pie. Those are two different things, aren't they?
The problem would come if a party, now like the new ones being formed, if a party has members and none of the member has really convinced people to be sent to parliament, you would say they don't need the part of the taxpayers' money. But even when you look at the funding of these parties, the funds go for specific issues, running the party activities. Okay, take for an example, if NUP wasn't funded by the taxpayers,
yes,
it has many political prisoners that it's feeding its families. Where would it get that money? Campaign, though this money is not actually given to you directly for campaign, that to fund your campaigning activities.
Yes, sure.
That money, when you look at reasons for why it is given, it is legitimate as long as you have, because you see, to be a member of parliament, you're not voted by 100 people.
Yeah, a number.
Yes. So it would be fair, and it would eliminate.
And that's where I'm having a problem. An average MP with their emoluments and allowances, 25 to 40 million.
This funding,
And these two double hands in the national pie.
you see, this method is tested by history. This funding doesn't go to these MPs. And you find all these parties have their members of parliament also contributing some money to their activities.
Like $1 million.
Yes. If you say these parties do not get funding, they would collapse. They run a lot of activities. A lot that need this money. And if you cut off funding here, the best alternative would be the fundraising NUP is driving.
I get you, because NUP gets 1.4 billion every quarter. Those are 3 months.
Yes.
Which that essentially means every month they are spending. That's about like 600 million.
It is even
What is NUP spending 600? Let's say, okay, let me leave NUP. NRM, right? I think for it must be getting like upwards of 5 billion every quarter. What is a political party using 5 billion for? Every quarter. That's 3 months, 2 billion per month.
You see, when you talk about serious things and you bring in NRM, that is a party that it is corrupt in nature. You can't ask NRM for accountability, and you wouldn't want to use it, for example.
No. Let's just use
let's use the NUP.
Let's use a commonplace thought experiment.
Let's use the NUP, because NRM, we will never get what they do with that money.
Yeah, you can.
We won't. But for the case of NUP, these people have court sessions every day, not only for NUP members, and these need lawyers.
Every day.
You will find that there are court cases
legal
running.
Support.
Yes, legal support. You'll find there are those in Gulu, those all over the country. You would take, for example, Dr. Chiza Besigye. He has court cases, I think, almost every month. Lawyers have to go there.
Of course.
Some he will not appear personally. Now that you can't do, you can't use your pocket for that money.
Then the lawyers don't take free legal services.
Even if it is free, you wouldn't expect a lawyer to walk to Gulu.
I hear you.
You get? When they are in Gulu, they will need to eat. You're not going to get a pro bono lawyer, sit him in court, hungry, no water. He works from home. I don't know whether it makes sense.
It makes sense.
Secondly,
it does,
I'll give you another
So NUP
case.
has like a battalion of how many lawyers?
I can't tell. Can't tell there are very many, because in Masaka you'll find there are very many. In Gulu there are very many. In Central here there are very many. In West, because almost on a daily there's someone being abducted. You will not spend 2 days. If you've missed to hear the news, you've just missed, but there's always someone abducted. Those need people to follow up.
And that requires resources.
It requires resources.
So that's legal support.
Besides that, there's mobilization.
Mobilization.
If you hear Kunga, right now they have a big Buwembo. You're not going to send him to, he was in Teso. He will not go without transport. I don't know whether it makes sense.
I get you. Even if,
so there's mobilization, legal support mobilization. They have put a headquarter, and in fact they're having offices all over the country. Most of them are not rented.
They have bought the structures?
They are actually building.
They are bought.
Others are built, others are bought. Which NRM was supposed to be doing. By now NRM would have had permanent offices all over the country. That is what that money is for.
So NUP has built the offices they don't rent?
No. If they are rented, they are few. But most of them are bought or built.
Or they're building structures, buying
Exactly.
I know the offices were built.
Yes.
Must have been like money from the first quarter or second quarter.
Exactly. It is being done countrywide. Then you will find, I've given in the case of political prisoners. Those political prisoners inside need money. You will not give them hard cash, but you put in their account. They need to feed. You will not eat that bitter posho from morning to evening, Monday to Sunday. Those people need to eat. their families out here, they don't have just one child or one wife. It is a whole. You find they took a head of the family. I will give you an example of Damulida. That man has never been found. And he was the head of the family. The man, Prime Minister, confessed she had him. Up to now, he has never been found.
I remember that confession by
his
the Prime
family
Minister.
needs to keep going on. Such money is good for that. Fine, he has children, he has a wife, they have to study, they are sick, they will call you. That is where that money goes. So if you begin calculating, you'll find that money is not enough.
You'll find that money is not
so
enough.
So they need to be funded. But the best way would also be fundraising. And this fundraising shouldn't be a single event. Fundraising normally is continuous. When you take a look at the United States, fundraising is a continuous.
I get you. And I think we've kind of looked at, okay, so where does that money go? I really look forward to getting like how they spend money. I'm so curious. Like the one of the...
You can just get to Electoral Commission.
I will. I just need to see. But I imagine if you have like 100 people feeding the entire families, that's quite a lot of money. Fees, school fees, medical. Some of them I think have medical issues. You have to follow up. 600 million, it's a drop in an ocean. You have staff at the secretariat and that kind of chat. So let's get into a scenario. Do you think political parties in Uganda opposition would be stronger and probably have less narrative debates to work with if they do not receive money from the state coffers and, let's say, choose to pursue other fundraising options?
They tried that before 2010 and they were weaker. Before the 2010 amendment of the Political Parties and Organization Act, they tried because they were not being funded by the state. It makes them weaker because, first of all, the state is not going to allow you to do that fundraising peacefully. If NUP started the first day, by second day, that number wasn't working.
The number had been...
No, those numbers had issues. Then also...
Are you for real?
Yes. And I think later on, they got better.
This is so funny.
The state won't allow you.
The numbers stopped working.
Yeah, they stopped.
I hope they didn't take the money on the line as well.
I don't think. But they normally expect such. Then the other issue with receiving foreign funds. Actually, let me give you this. I saw Norbert Mao, the Minister of Justice.
Yes.
He was on television saying that, he was mocking at the NUP that even if you do fundraising, the law only allows you to fundraise up to 400 million, which is actually not correct, but it is a good propaganda. Because by
how much
our
does
law,
the state allow you to mobilize?
By our law, if you're fundraising from within the locals, there's no limitations.
The problem is...
when you're doing foreign, if you're receiving donation from a single foreign funder...
They can't go beyond 400 million.
No. The law is, if you're receiving from a single person, he can only give you up to 400 million.
Yeah, sure.
But altogether, your foreign funders should not give you exceeding 4 billion in 12 months.
In a single year?
Yes, in a single year.
Okay.
That is like still good money.
1.5 million US dollars. It's
so you can
still reasonable resources, yeah.
So you see that his narrative was to discourage the public that even if we fund, it only reaches 400 million. And yet our target is 9 billion. It won't work out. So it was a good propaganda. That is from the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. But I want to direct you somewhere else. How this amendment conflicts with our constitution, which should make us all worried. Those who are owning NGOs, those who are in the media, those who are elsewhere. Because what it has done is this. It has gotten an association which was a voluntary association and elevated it above.
Dennis, how is that unconstitutional?
It is what I want to show you. That this association wasn't formed by any act of parliament, but we had an association that was formed by act of parliament, the National Consultative Forum. Now, this law has elevated IPOD above National Consultative Forum.
Is the unconstitutionality in the elevation of it?
The unconstitutionality is putting that body as a gatekeeper for public funding.
So if someone has an act of parliament, that means they legitimize the body, right? If, for example, it means they have amended it to constitutionalize it, which means they have dealt with a constitutional issue in that case, which is that it was being funded in the darkness. Now
No.
it's like a wife who you were
What they would have
you
done-
had married them cohabiting, but now you've gone to church to marry.
What they would have done was to re-establish IPOD through an act of parliament first, then give it such powers, which powers would still be illegal, like this one. You see, you cannot...
Dennis, is it your argument that a body can only be established through an act of parliament that is separate? It cannot be established through a clause within an act of parliament?
To make it constitutional,
Yes.
it has to be formed by an act of parliament.
It has to be formed by an act of parliament.
If it is not, then it is unconstitutional. So whatever you do with it, it is unconstitutional. Now, the problem comes in this way, Mr. Joseph.
Sure.
That tomorrow, government will form an organization and force you to be part, or you get denied public funding. I'll give you a simple example that is happening.
Please.
We have the PDM that
I'm following
that General Museveni is moving all around, checking on. You realize that everyone that he visits and takes a photo with is putting on an NRM t-shirt. That is a broader picture that you're either NRM or you're not going to get the PDM funding. Now, that is painting a picture in the public that you either have to join the NRM or you're denied. PDM is a public fund. Isn't it from our taxes?
I totally agree with you. So it is to say government services should only go to those who subscribe to the NRM. How is that very dangerous for our Ugandan democratic ideals?
Our constitution guarantees public funding or access to public service.
Yes.
You're not supposed to be limited to any organization or anything to receive that. Now, if you would come to parties in parliament, first of all, the constitution says that every person and entities are equal before the law. They should all be treated equally before the law.
Okay.
So if you decide to treat people in parliament in a certain way, they must all be treated in that certain way. But if you say those who do not subscribe to IPOD will not receive public funding.
Away from just the principle of it being unfair, what are the, an action can either be invalidated, of course, based on principle. I think it's outrightly unfair, right? Are there any practical, let's say, outcomes which, if we painted, can trust the dark, maybe democratic future that we engage in by engaging in that sort of oppression against political dissidents?
Yes, Mr. Joseph. I need you to know that Article 1 says that powers belong to the people, sovereignty of the people.
Sure.
Now, if you decide to punish parties whose members were sent by a large number of people who supported those parties that don't subscribe to IPOD, you're punishing the people.
Okay.
And that is direct. You could say it is indirect, but...
No, it is direct. It is direct. It means their will is being...
Exactly.
It's not being financed. And
if
as a result,
people manage to send over 57 members of NUP MPs to parliament, that's a large number.
Yeah, that's huge.
They are the alternative majority.
The government
and they sent them when they don't subscribe to IPOD. Now you reach there and tie funding. Now this funding is collected by all Ugandans, including the people that elected NUP. You're not only punishing their MPs and their parties. The punishment, you're sending it back to the people that have the powers by the constitution. Now, the problem is going to come in this way, that tomorrow, it could be a newsroom, it could be an NGO. They'll introduce something like the way you had, they are planning to bring an NGO government fund, that all NGOs will get funding through that.
Only government.
Yes.
If the EU wants to fund an NGO, it first sends to NGO fund.
Exactly.
And
exactly. So you realize that by that you may need to subscribe to NRM. To get that government funding. It is really problematic.
It looks like we're going back to the one movement system.
Exactly.
Where it's either one or one, and the only political dissidency comes from within one umbrella. Maybe as we as we kind of wrap up, so recently the so-called Common Man's Party by the ex-legislator Honorable Munyagwa and other political parties are coming up, trying to form themselves into specific outfits. I don't know if they have any commentary in that specific direction and what that means for political party funding.
All these parties that are coming, you realize they are not formed yesterday. They are changing names of political parties that were formed 2004, including the one of Munyagwa. And they are still coming because normally, you know, in Uganda, when you hear a rumor about this government and they deny, you know, it is true.
That's how it starts.
Yes. Number one, about a month ago, there was a rumor that Museveni released 30 billion for activities of all these new political parties being formed. It is not news. You saw how NUP struggled to actually get that party. But now everyone is getting it with ease. It means you're not a threat.
Or even PFF, yeah.
Exactly. Even PFF struggled so much to get. But for you, you're getting with ease, including Stacia Mayanja.
What is her new political party? These days, the names change quickly.
So, that rumor came that there's 30 billion for operation of this party.
And people said,
and you can see
not letting this spending spree go by us.
And another rumor was that Museveni wants about 40 political parties by 2026, and he needs close to 40 presidential candidates on the ballot.
As him as a person,
he will be either down or number 2 up. So I think you can see, because this you see all these launches are happening needs money. You can actually see the 30 billion operating already.
Value for money.
Yes.
Instant return on investment.
The only thing is that they will not be able to get this current IPOD money that is disbursed through parliament, even if they have members of parliament that defect to them.
Yeah, sure.
Because the executive director of IPOD, that is Mr. Serwamba, said, even if they defect now to those parties, they were not elected in those parties. So they can defect now, sign a memorandum of understanding with IPOD and wait to get the other, of which I am sure General Museveni can't allow them after 2026 to access money. He's a man who can't allow you have excess money to operate.
Yeah. He loves to.
But what they will surely get,
those means,
what they will surely get is there's that part of this amendment introduced 2 sections. Number 1, money for members of for IPOD members with members of parliament. Then those who don't have members in parliament yet, they will also be funded.
The bill gives them funding?
Yes, not as much as the other ones, but there will be funding.
Oh.
So these many parties
the jokes have become real. I saw the memes on social media saying, guys. So when things get tight, just open one.
These parties, it is.
The jokes are becoming real.
Yes. Here they will bring it as a joke.
I see, Dennis. So as we wrap up, I do not know whether you have any parting shots, Dennis, as we close this conversation on the status of political party financing in Uganda.
I would urge every Ugandan to be worried. Take actions. The civil societies should use this chance or this window to join the parties that are affected directly. That is the NUP, the FDC. I don't know, the current FDC under Amuri had said they will be part of IPOD, but in protest. So he's being very strategic. That is what he said.
In IPOD, but in protest. Wow, that's like a new line there.
In fact, IPOD money is the first batch is going to be released this week. That's what we were told.
As long as you get money in protest, I mean,
so every Ugandan should be worried. Because you see today it is NUP that you will see that it is being targeted. But tomorrow it is going to be you. Because this is not political dialogue. This is coercion. This is repressing dissent. That you either join our association or you're out of public funding. And this association here, you're not going there to dialogue. We have seen it before 2018. Whatever was discussed wasn't solved. So this is coercion. In fact, this is funding silence. Because once you conform to what they are pressing you to, once you decide to join IPOD right now, I don't think you will have the voice to speak. I would say that NUP should keep resisting the way FDC resisted. That money, we need it, but it is not worth it. There's need in the money, but
it comes at a very, very high cost.
Because the game is this: head they win, tail you lose. There's no side where you win.
You get the money, but you lose the bigger
Yes.
picture. Thank you so much, Dennis. It was good having you. And tell your colleagues after ThinkSpace that we loved your thoughts and we look forward to engaging more members of your community in these conversations. To our viewer, I hope that you did recount the current status of the political financing in Uganda from when we got our beautiful multi-party democracy to what it has now become. We hope you play your part. See you next time.
Why should we care about human rights? Because they are the foundation of freedom, justice, and peace. Human rights ensure that every person, no matter who they are, has the right to express an opinion, belong to a group, take part in their country's decisions, and live with dignity. These rights protect us all in schools, in communities, at workplaces, online, and in public life. When human rights are respected, societies are fairer, safer, and more inclusive. But when they're ignored or abused, people lose their voice and their power. The Civic Space Initiative exists to make sure that doesn't happen. Together with communities, civil society, and institutions, we are strengthening the knowledge and tools needed to defend civic freedoms and uphold the rule of law. Because when human rights thrive, everyone benefits. Visit www.sepa.or.ug or www.asf.be to find out how you can be part of the movement to protect and promote human dignity. Your rights, your voice, your future. This message is brought to you by the Center for Policy Analysis together with ASF in partnership with the Belgian Partner in Development.
Thank you for listening to the Policy Digest podcast, the Center for Policy Analysis podcast that is profiling African ideas and people that are shaping the future of their communities. Subscribe to all our platforms on YouTube and Podbean.